Hey,
Hey,
how's it
how you
going?
doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing okay. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem. My phone went out of charge and I had to go get a charger.
For sure. No worries, man.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
worries. No worries. How's everything going?
Everything's good. Just shipping out some orders that I got on my website.
Right on. Um, you know, are you are you well? Are you healthy? Are you safe? I mean, that's the question that I always open with everybody. Just checking in and making sure everybody's well taken care of.
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. I just, I eat right and watch watch where I go and what I do. But I'm not rolling around in a hazmat suit with rubber gloves all day, That shit, I tried it a little bit, my hands would get sweaty, and I was like, man, fuck this. And then, the masks and all that, I'd be rolling those when I go around, people and stuff like that. But for the most part, I've been healthy this whole time.
Right on. Right on. I saw something on the internet, and I've been seeing a lot of stuff on the internet, but they were saying something about the shelter in place order in LA being like indefinitely extended. Is that true?
They said 3 more months, but if you went on the freeway, you would think there's no such thing as a coronavirus because the freeway is jam packed. There's a bunch of people out in the street. It looks regular, but everybody's just wearing masks.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But the freeways are still jammed.
Oh, the freeway is jam packed right now.
That's crazy, man. Well, listen, I have some questions that I want to ask you, but I mean, this is loose and it's just a talk, really, just
Yeah,
sort
no
of,
problem.
and I mean, your career, I mean, if people are, unless people are sleeping under a rock, I mean, there's you, the photographer, you, the filmmaker. I'm interested in Estevan Lowrider. I mean,
Okay.
I was watching an interview where you said, I don't own a lowrider, I am a lowrider.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, talk to us about that, about like, the history of you having the 64 and, kind of the trajectory of things from way back to now.
Yeah, I bought my car in 89 and around 91 is when I started building it. And my homie DC, rest in peace, he was an African American guy from Watts, and he had his own car club called Hood Rat Car Club. And he goes, "Hey man, what are you gonna do with this car?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you gonna lowrider or what?" I go, "Yeah, for sure." He goes, "When?" I go, "As soon as I get like 20 racks stacked up." He goes, "Nah, man, that's not how it works." He goes, "Here, let's get my tools." And I was like, "Okay." So we went to his truck, got his tools, and then he just started ripping my car apart right there on the sidewalk. I had an apartment in Hollywood, right off like Melrose and Coenga, and he started putting all my shit on the sidewalk, like my interior, all my bumpers, all the chrome, all the moldings, like everything that you could take off the car, but the car would still be able to roll. He took off, and he was like, "Here, put all this shit together and put it in your truck," because I had a little work truck back then. He's like, "Put all the interior on this side, put your chrome over here, put your moldings over here, and you could take." On Monday you could take all this shit to the different shops and just drop it off because it's gonna take a while to get done. And I was thinking like, fuck, man, if they come out in 2 weeks, like what takes 2 weeks to do, like nothing, nothing I ever done unless you're building a house. He's like, don't worry, by the time the shit is ready, you'll have the money. And that shit was taking like 6 months. Shit that out weeks would take like 6 months or even a year to get done. I was like, fuck. And yeah, I go, hey man, why does it take so long? Like fucking what do they gotta do? He goes, that's just low riding, Motherfuckers in the low riding game take a long time to do shit. And I didn't realize it until then, and it took me 2 years to finish that car and get a plaque in the back window and hit the streets. But at that point in time, I did it just the stock blue that they came out with the white top, and I had Dayton's on it, and I put the sounds, I put hydraulics, and a new interior, new stock interior. And then a few years later, I went on tour, and I told my homies, "Hey, can you, I took my car to the paint shop to get the top painted because I wanted to change the white shit off of the top." And they go, "Yeah, yeah, bring it to this shop." My car club guys, and they're like, "Yeah, bring it to this shop, and while you go on tour with House of Pain, and then you can just come back and that shit will be done, and you'll be back, riding again." I was like, "Yeah, cool." I took the car there, dropped it off. They sent me like pictures of it, and then they were like, "Hey, fuck that, we're gonna paint the whole car." I go, "No, no, man, I'm not gonna have the fucking car for another year, And they're like, "We don't give a fuck, man. We can't have a stock looking Impala in our club, That shit's got to be custom, and you're gonna love it, and just deal with it." I was like, "Fuck it, You guys know better than me. You're the OGs. You guys were in all the Boulevard Nights movies and all that type of shit." So I just trusted them, and I went through the whole car again. Once they're like, "Hey, man, you got all the fucking everything's getting repainted. You might as well just redo your interior again, so it'll match you don't want a stock interior with a custom paint job." And I was like, "Fuck, man, here we go again." So sure enough, ripped the whole car down again and started over. And that was the second time. And since then, I've done it 2 more times. and I'm about to bust out again in about a month or two with fuel injection, all new hydraulics, disc brakes all the way around. I never had disc brakes in the car since I've had it. And everybody's like, "Oh, man, you're tripping. You need disc brakes. You need disc brakes." I was like, there was always shit I would just pass up just because I wanted to fucking drive the car. I was like, "No, we'll do that next time. We'll do that next time." I just want to drive the motherfucker. And sure enough, it took a couple of years to get that one out. And then, I changed it 2 more times since then. So it's been nothing but drama. But when you're on the street, it's like no other. All that shit was worth it. It was worth all the drama. It was worth all the headaches. It was worth all the fights with your family and shit like that. So it's been good. It's been but that's what I meant when I said like you are a lowrider. You don't just own it. It's not like I have a car. I have a Porsche. I have a classic car, whatever. Like those lowriders put you through it. They put you through the blues, and it's nothing. There's nothing like the feeling when you get your car back and you hit the street again. You feel like a newborn baby walking.
Yeah.
So it's like, I went on from there and bought a 47 Fleetline. I bought a Monte Carlo and a 61 Impala. So, it never ends, it's like a bottomless money pit. And but that's, keeps you working, and you're like, "Fuck, man, I got to go hustle more and work harder because I need to do this and that to these cars and get all these bills paid."
For sure. No, I hear that. I have a 48 fleet line.
Oh,
And
okay.
and one of my coworkers asked me, he said, "Why do you work so much?" And I said,
Yeah.
"You see my car?" You know,
Yeah.
because my deal with my family is I have the car as long as it doesn't take food off the table. So it's all like, cherry on top hustle for the car
Yeah. Yeah.
so that the family doesn't feel it. But yeah, man, it is a money pit for sure. It's never ending.
Yeah.
Never ending.
Every time I take the car out, I make sure I got $200 cash in case I need to get a flatbed that day.
Right. Right.
They're just
My
like part of
48
the,
has my 48 has spent more time on a flatbed than on the road.
yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
just is what it is. Is your 47 stock? It's
Yeah, it has 15,000 miles. I bought it when it had 13,000.
wow.
The only things I've touched on it was I made it a 12 volt. I lowered it three inches. I put a stereo in it and a visor, and I had Joe Epstein do all that.
Nice.
The
Nice.
notorious Joe Epstein.
Nice. So you were talking about the OGs that kind of, you know, that you came up under. Um,
Yeah.
so was the car your first entry point into low riding, or was it growing up in LA and just it being part of your cultural surroundings and you just kind of knew that's for me, I'm going to do it someday?
No, it's like when you have the car, then it's real. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it's like, how can you be a lowrider if you don't have a car? You know, it, it's crazy. It don't make no sense. It's like you know, saying I'm an astronaut, but I never been off the ground. You know,
Right.
or I'm an actor, but I'm waiting tables every day. You know, it's like until you get that car, you're rolling it on some wire wheels, and you got some hydraulics in the back. You know, you're otherwise you're just rolling around any kind of car,
Yeah.
any old custom classic or whatever. But lowrider, wire wheels and hydraulics
Right on. Well, you
for
know,
me.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you know, my 48 was static drop and I was scraping over everything. I mean, I would be on the freeway and hit a bump and it would knock
Oh,
the car into neutral,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And so I actually had hydraulics put on it to be able to get the car up,
yeah,
you know, just to be able to get in and out of driveways and stuff, you know? But
yeah,
there,
yeah.
yeah, there's no feeling.
When I go in a driveway, I almost go like sideways to the driveway, and then I just like, you know, gradually go up it with the 47. You know, it's otherwise you just scrape your back bumper off or your pipes or whatever. So, but the you know with the 64, you just hit the switch and you're up in there. You know, go
For
anywhere.
sure. For sure. You know, I mean, somebody sent me a DM the other day and they said to me, they said, "Thank you for starting this movement of documenting low riding worldwide." And I said, "No." I said, "I didn't start anything." So I just want to be on the record with the world right here, right now, that you get all the credit for truly being a pioneer of documenting global low riding, man. I mean, anybody that's doing it is doing it in your wake. So I just wanted to say thank you for opening that door for everybody, for sure.
Yeah, thank you, man. I felt like it was my duty and my obligation as somebody who documents stuff because I was traveling a lot. I was thinking like, how am I gonna go to these other countries and not touch down and see if there's some lowriders here and you know bust some flicks of the people who got them and shit like that. So I went to you know I went to like the first countries I went to that had them were um, you know, Europe, of course, Mexico, Australia, Brazil, Japan, Thailand. And then once Instagram came about and you could, you know, communicate with people worldwide any time of the day, and you just put like, hey, I'm going to this city, you know, is there anybody's out there, let me know. Motherfuckers are hitting you up, giving you messages, and you're like, hey, you know, if you have time, it'd be cool to, you know, bust some flicks of you with your ride or you and your homies or whatever. And they're like, hell yeah. So I ended up, you know, just traveling on whatever other work kind of shit I was doing, and I would just, you know, hit up some lowriders or whatever, and then they would take, hey, you want to see our hood and shit like that, and I'd go to their hood, and you know that it just started snowballing like that to where, you know, I had pictures of so many countries of people in the lowrider culture, and you know, some of them are really, really, really like dedicated, you know, and they love the shit. Like it's really their lifestyle. Like people are like, oh man, them motherfuckers don't, you know, they got lowriders, but they ain't really about it. But I'm like, no, they really are. You know, the motherfuckers have shops. They paint them themselves. They do the hydraulics themselves. They know how to work on the cars more than I do. You know. I know how to take pictures and to make money to go and have the best dudes in the game, work on my shit, because it's a fucking car. You don't want to be rolling around unsafe. My wheels flew off 2 times, like driving. Like all the lug nuts busted off, and my wheel just fucking went on its own. So these cars, they're more dangerous to drive than any other car. Like if you ever drove a car with the fucking hydraulics and shit, like the whole car just sways, crazy when you're, bending corners and stuff. So you have to be safe. And I don't think I could do shit. Family, rolling around in these cars and, you know, be feeling, like nothing's gonna happen. I just have a feeling like, man, if I don't take it to chance of getting hurt.
Yeah. I was with my son. I had my 9-year-old son in the back seat in my fleet line, and I was doing about 30 at about 5 o'clock. There was street traffic and my brakes went out.
And what happened?
The pedal just went straight to the floor, and I ran a stop sign, turned, and I had no brakes. And my son was screaming in my ear, "We're going to crash. We're going to crash. We're going to crash." He was freaking out. And luckily, I managed to get it to the side I barely hit a Lincoln Navigator, almost like that close. And we ended up not crashing, but it was scary as shit, man, with my kid in the car. He hates the car to this day. He's like traumatized over it. So it's like, you'll be all
Yeah.
right. Come on. No seat belts,
Hey. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, what do you put the phone on so that when people call you, they don't like to, so people don't fuck up you put on like do not disturb, or, because
I
I'm
don't
on the
know.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh,
I,
okay.
yeah, I mean, I got a call from my son's automated school message while we were talking. So don't trip. It's cool.
Oh, okay.
So having the opportunity to go around the world, and document, I mean, what has surprised you the most about low riding outside of the United States?
Just how good they are at it. Like they're fucking building sick ass rides and like really, really, really high quality shit. Like I've been to Cuba before, and you see all the old school cars there, and they have like a Russian motor in it, and like
Right.
all these other kinds of like. For them, it's like survival. They
Yeah.
just put whatever fits in there and makes the car work from A to B.
Right.
So you think like, man, I'm gonna go to these third world countries or some of these other countries, and they're gonna look like that. And you get there, and you're like, fuck, man, these dudes are like, the shit is pristine and like show quality. And you're like, where do these dudes get these parts from? And how do they fucking get, like, this is one guy in this small ass town. What happens when his fucking hydraulics go out or something like that? Like, he's fucked. And I just trip out that they're down like that. Like we're here in LA, and and I have a list of maybe 10 guys with flatbeds. And I go through the list like halfway through every single time. I'll be like, "Hey, what's up, homie? It's Estevan. You know, I'm broke down over here. Can you come scoop me up? Oh, I don't have the truck with me. I'm with my family, or I got another car on here, or it'll be 4 hours." Or so you go through that whole list before you get to somebody with a flatbed sometimes. And I just think about these dudes in other countries. Like, what the fuck do they do when they break down?
Yeah.
But that, and also how much they love the culture, and it's not like people like trip out like that there's people in Asia or something like that are all tatted up, and they're all like, they look all gang banged out, and they're like, oh, them fools are fake gangsters or fake this, fake that. But if you go there and you spend time with these people, these individuals, like, they're really about that lowrider life, and they're really about you know uh, everything that comes with the culture. They even go at it with the cops over there. The the biggest thing they probably don't have is like, is a lot of active, people in the streets. And I think that's probably the one thing that's a little bit easier for them. They don't have to think about that. Like, if I break down in this neighborhood, I'm fucked. Or if I break down over here, I'm fucked. Or, you know, the cops here in LA are different than the cops around the world. Like, I don't know if you've seen the video the other day of the guy wearing the Rams jersey and the cops just
Yeah.
were taking flight on him. Like, there's another video of the cop camera, like, it shows the guy talking shit. He's like, fuck you, punk, and fuck you, lame, telling the cops and all that. But that cop just, like, teed off on him, and he didn't fight back at all. And he just kept teeing off on him and kept teeing off on him. And it's like, how much of that shit are you supposed to take? Like, I was watching that going, like, oh, the next punch, he's going to just fucking turn around and let that cop have it, because he was kind of like a big dude, kind of stocky. And he was, the way he was talking, like he wasn't no fucking lame or nothing like that. I was like, any second, he's just gonna take flight on this cop. And he just let the cop do his thing, and then he was like, hey man, what'd you do all that shit for, And a lady came out and goes, why are you guys doing that? He's one of the nicest guys, and like, get that fuck in the house and shut up. Like, that's our cops here, in LA. And they don't have to deal with that shit in other countries like that. So, I mean, they do have it a little bit easier, but in that respect. But I think they have it a lot harder when it comes to finding people to work on the cars, or when it comes time to getting parts or shit like that, or if they break down. Like we're kind of spoiled here in LA. We have 100 painters, a bunch of different shops that could do shit, low riding. I mean, hydraulics or there's a few pinstripers. But you go to some of these other countries, there might be one guy that lives like 30 minutes away that can pinstripe your car, and it won't be for 6 months.
Yeah.
So,
right.
It's just it's a trip. That's probably the only difference that I can think of that we have here as opposed to there. Here they racial profile you. There, they probably trip out in the car, and they'll go through it. Like I heard in some countries like Sweden or Germany, the cops fuck with you, but it's a money thing. They're like, oh, you got hydraulics, there's $1,000 fine. You got this, here's another $500 fine. They just rack up your fines. I mean, sometimes it's probably easier to take a billy club a couple times to your legs or something, but that money that spending them racks, that hurts too.
For sure. For sure. The people down in Moca in Brazil were telling me that, they pay outrageous import taxes on the parts. That's, that's why, they have to figure out their workarounds, because parts are expensive, and then they're getting killed on import taxes. So it's
like, I think in Thailand, if you buy a car, say it's just like 100 grand, it's 3 times tax. So the car that'll cost 100 grand here is 300 grand there. Just as an idea of like, if you want a lowride in Thailand, no problem, but you're just gonna have to pay 3 times what everybody else pays.
Yeah. When I was in Nagoya, I went to Tokyo when Bobby opened the lower left in Tokyo, and he introduced me to the guys that from Thailand that do show. They promote lowrider shows in Thailand.
Oh yeah.
And I had tripped out at that point because I had no idea that lowriding was in Thailand, and so he put me on with those guys. And, it's just amazing to see how just literally any corner of the world it is. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the pictures of those guys in Russia. They're doing these funky cars that you never see, but they have a real 70s vibe to them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love tripping out on all the car culture all around the world. Like, even in Thailand, just the tuk-tuks, like the taxis.
Yeah.
Like those are just like, there's a lot of lowrider shit on those. Like all the seats are done custom. There's pinstriping on them. They hook them up with these little lights, you know, like they hook it up like they're little, you know, like their little versions of lowriders. And I thought that was pretty cool. I took a bunch of pictures of those dudes, but um, you know, I just like I went to Japan maybe 2 years ago, and one of the homies over there, he let me hit the switch driving his wife's car around. That's another thing too, is like they'll build themselves a car and build their wife a car, and they'll roll, you know, together, like, you know, in a lineup. And I was like, man, that's just dope, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Does your wife have a car?
Yeah, 76 Monte Carlo.
Nice. Nice. And you all roll together?
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Like you know, so when all the cars are up, then we roll together in the cars, or we'll roll in mine or roll in hers when none, you know, one of the cars isn't functioning.
Right on. And then are your kids getting into it? Are your kids
No,
building bikes? Are they?
they just go when we go, and that's it. But they're not thinking of you know, when I hit this age, I want to have a lowrider, or you know, I like this year, this car. You know, I think they've seen all the shit that I've gone through, and they're like, fuck that. Give me a regular car. Let me put, you know, plug it into the wall or something like that, so I don't have to even deal with no fucking gas or whatever, you know. There was a point when it got to be like $5 a gallon over here, and that shit was crazy, you know. All my cars have V8s in them, so that shit was $100 a pop every couple of days.
For sure. For sure. Do you are is the 47 has the original motor?
Yeah,
Are you going to leave it like that, or are you going to convert it?
no, I'm gonna keep it like that. I want to keep it stock as long as I can, you know. It has the original paint job, the original interior, the original motor, original wheels, like everything on it is the way it came in 1947. And like I said, it has 15,000 miles. I put 2,000 of those on there since 2008, maybe.
Nice.
So I only drive it, you know, a couple hundred miles here and there. And, you know, I just think it's cool if we keep some shit the way it was, you know,
Heard that.
like, you
Right
know,
on.
the way it came when it came out of the showroom floor.
Cool, man. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, we've been privileged to see low riding around the world through your eye, the way you've captured it. But what has low riding given you personally as a human being?
Um, I mean, it's given me a lot, you know. It's like it's you know, it's pretty much my life, you know. Photography, low riding, and my family is my life, you know. So it's like I give to low riding and I get back, you know, just as much, if not more, because you know, I'm out there hustling it, you know. Like I'm out there pushing the line, waving the flag around the world, you know, and when these other countries started buying into our culture, it created a lot of like entrepreneurial opportunities for people that weren't ever gonna think like that, you know. Like when the Japanese started coming over here with backpacks full of cash and buying cars up, like people all of a sudden now they're importers and exporters. You know, they weren't into that, doing that kind of shit. They just are like, you know, now they're going out there and trying to find certain cars. Like, hey, you know, what kind of car do you want? And people are like, oh, give me a, you know, 64 Impala, and they're going around and getting the money. You know, well, they get like what happened with me is I've sold a couple cars to a couple different people in other countries, and they would tell me what kind of car they wanted, and I would send them pictures. You know, this before like Instagram and all that, so it was a little bit harder. I would have to take a picture digitally and download it to my computer and email it to them, and then they would tell me, I like that one, you know, can you change the color on the paint? So then I would get it painted for them, and then I would ship it to them overseas. So it put a lot of people in business that were just working like a 9 to 5 before. It gave them the opportunity to open their own companies and, you know, make a living out of it. And, you know, as they should, you know, might as well be some people in the culture than culture vultures, you know, doing the shit. Might as well be us that are, you know, really low riding and living this lifestyle, doing those type of businesses than some cornball motherfuckers that never been in a lowrider, you know, just making money off the culture.
And there's certainly a lot of that.
Yeah, that's why every opportunity that comes up for me, people will be like, "Oh, why did you do that project? You know, that looked like that was kind of like weak, you know, but the part you did was cool, you know." So I'm like, "Well, that's why, you know, because no matter what, they're gonna have somebody do it, and instead of having some cornball, you know, that doesn't know shit about lowriding, you know, portray the culture to these brands that everybody's gonna see. It might as well be somebody that's in the culture, you know, doing it. And so what if it's a corny brand or whatever? No matter what, they're gonna do it. They already have that in their game plan. They have it on their mood boards. They got the budgets, you know, put aside. They're gonna do that shit. So it might as well be somebody from our culture, you know, getting a check out of it than, you know, somebody that's not.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And that's really what motivated me to revisit my research, because I did globalization of lowriding in my graduate program at San Francisco State. And then it was the dead end guys, you know,
Oh yeah.
the Espinosa brothers were having a show about an exhibit of car culture in Japan. And so my wife and I went, and we went to dinner afterwards, and I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to do this thing. Those guys really inspired me to resurrect the research and formalize it, you know. And I started reading a lot of academic work on lowriding, and people are writing about lowriding that have no idea what they're talking about. You know, it's just
Never even been in a car before.
they needed a sexy topic for a dissertation, and
Yeah.
low riding, you know. And it's crazy, man. So, you
Yeah.
know, I think it's important that we tell our stories from within, because, you know, for hundreds of years it's been the other way around.
Yeah, that's what I think. You know, I'm glad that different people from the culture are taking it in their own hands, because that's what we need. You know, otherwise it's just a bunch of fuckery going on. You know, people that don't know nothing about the shit. Like, you know, I'm so proud to say that I've driven lowriders in other countries. You know, like that's the fucking shit to me. Like to be able to, I mean, one, to be able to get somebody to trust you enough, you know, to drive their fucking car, you know, that like people coming over, oh, you know, I'm from, you know, Hungary or Belgium or whatever. Can I drive your lowrider? You know, they'd be like, huh? But then, like, when I go over there, they'll be like, hey, you want to roll? You want to hit the switch and, you know, drive this car? I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do that shit. You'd be driving on the wrong side of the road and all that kind of shit because, you know, the roads are, that's how they are in some countries. And,
Right.
you know, that shit's a trip, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I roll around with my boys in London and, you know, it's on the wrong side of the road, you know, there in Australia. And it's a trip, you know, seeing like, you know, when you're in the, usually when you're in the passenger seat, you're on the curb side, you know, but over there, you're driving, you're on the curb side. And it kind of feels weird, you know, it feels like you're driving, but I don't know, it's a trip, but it's cool.
Right on, man. Well, there in the comments, there's been a lot of commentary about the movie. I wasn't gonna bring it up because I don't know if you're tired of talking about it or not.
No
Um,
way.
you know, it's a brilliant film. You
Thank
know,
you.
I mean, I'm no film critic, but you know, when it's good, it's good. And I got to tell you, this is, I think that for me, in terms of all the people that I've talked to about the movie, this is the most powerful thing about this film as a piece of art. My best friend from childhood is my accountant, and he is the squarest, whitest, straight-laced dude you'd ever meet. Called me up and he said, "Hey man, have you seen this thing on Netflix, LA Originals?" And I said, "Yeah, man." And he goes, "Man, what an amazing movie that was." He goes, "That was such an amazing and powerful movie." And I went, "Man, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed." And he was like, he wanted to talk about it. And I thought, man, you know, that it would move somebody says so much that
Yeah.
is not connected 1 inch, 1 iota to anything having to do with low riding or street culture of any form, you know, but is moved by it as a film. Man, that's powerful.
Now, a lot of, oh, sorry.
No,
I was tripping out. A lot of people said they cried from the movie, you know. I was like, damn, you know. Like if you, and a lot of people said, hey, man, I'm so, you know, thank you for putting out that movie. You know, this is a really rough time for all of us. And that kind of gave us some, you know, positive, you know, like something good to feel good about. And I was like, damn, you know, so to me, I felt like I did my job. You know, I made people laugh, I made people cry, I made people feel good, I made them feel sad. So that's when you're really creating, you know, a film that you know when it gets under people's skin, you know,
yeah,
that's what that's to me that's what you want as a filmmaker is to be able to create that kind of emotion from people. And I mean, it takes a lot to get people to cry, you know, in a movie. So if you could do that, you're hitting home for somebody, you know.
yeah. No, it's amazing. This other guy that I used to coach baseball with, I used to actually coach his kid. Same thing, you know, the least likely person I would ever expect to call me and say, "Hey, man, I just saw this thing. It reminded me of you. Man, this thing is an amazing, amazing piece of filmmaking." And I was like, "Man, that's you know, it's to me, it's incredible, like the reach that that film is demonstrating. You know, I mean, it's not just for people who are in the culture. I mean, it's just a brilliant piece of art. So, man, thank you for making it.
Oh yeah, thank you for watching it. Because if nobody watched it, we'd be asked out, you know.
For
It's kind
sure.
of like the response was like so overwhelming and humbling. I mean, everybody says like it was the perfect time for it to come out because everybody's stuck at the pad, you know.
Right. Right.
But we did have a lot of other stuff set up, like film festivals and stuff like that, which is better for if you're a filmmaker for the movie to go to festivals and to, you know, be seen in all that same industry. But at the same time, everybody's seen it, you know, on Netflix, so it worked out. It was cool.
Right on. Well, let me ask you, you have a book coming out on global low riding, right? Is that the
Yeah,
next one?
that's the
Do
next
you
one.
do you have a tentative release date for that, or can you talk about that, or no? Is it too early?
Well, it was supposed to be like I was supposed to have it done by June, so it could come out by August. I mean, by Christmas, you know, for sure. But this threw us back 3 months, and my photo lab that I use because I shoot. The thing with my books is I try to do everything with film that was shot on film, and so it was all shot on negatives, and you have to make prints of it. So I was making like I've gotten probably to 100 prints, and I have like 200 more to make. And my photo lab just called me yesterday and told me that he's not gonna make it because of the virus. His business isn't gonna make it, so he's closing up shop. And he's been doing it for 40 years, and he's one of the last of two photo labs in LA to develop and print film in a dark room. So I was like, fuck, man, what do you mean? Like, you know, I was thinking of starting them a GoFundMe or some shit like that. Like, you know, this is LA. You know, it's the home of films and photography, and you know, Like, this is the one of the main places for cameras. And this is Los Angeles, California. Like, how the fuck as a city, how could you let something like that die? It's like the guy's been doing business for 40 years, and they're just gonna let it close because he couldn't pay his rent for those couple months that he couldn't work and didn't have no income coming in. It's fucked up. But I gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta try that last photo lab, that the last of the Mohicans, and you know I'm gonna get the shit done. But that just put a big gouge in my whole program right there.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this whole thing has businesses just drying up and just closing shop, man. It's crazy, man, how this has just derailed a lot of livelihood for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I haven't done a job since March, and I don't have no jobs lined up. Like, people are like, "Oh fuck yeah, that's great. You're gonna be doing a gang of shit now." I'm like, when? Nobody's going to work, and no film studios are open. Nobody's reaching out. No record labels, no nothing. So it's like, we're gonna have to just tighten up our belts and wait for the shit to end, and hopefully some shit opens up, because I need to get out there and start shooting. I've been shooting a little bit here and there just for me, just because I got that itch. But as far as work goes, I'm waiting. We're all in the same boat. That's why
for
I
sure.
don't feel so bad, because everybody's fucked. If it was just like me, I'd be like, poor me, poor me. But like, we're all fucked, so
Yeah,
it is what it is.
for sure. For sure. And you just did the release with Cookies, right?
Yep,
How's
burner and
that going?
cookies. It went great. Everything, when you do like those collabs with like Burner or Born and Raised or something like that, those are those type of brands where they're like, hey, we're dropping it at this time, and if you make it, before the shit sells out, then you make it. If not, then you're asked out to the next one. And they're like limited edition, so it's like everybody wants to get it because they might not get it, and it's cool, and you have everything sell out, but you kind of wish, like, fuck, what if I made like a couple hundred more, then a couple more hundred people could buy it, and we could live a little bit longer. But it's like, there's 100 pieces of this, 100 pieces of that, and it's over.
Yeah.
But it's good that when your shit sells out, and Burner has a good following, Born and Raised has a good following, so that was gonna happen regardless if it was me or not.
Right on. Right on. Your favorite lowrider of all time?
Mine, my '64 Blue Velvet. That's the one that I got the most blood, sweat, and tears, you know, invested in. And sometimes I love it the most, sometimes I hate it the most. I've been on my way to somewhere thinking I was gonna be flossing and showing off and being that guy, and motherfucker breaks down and never even make it. And that shit's traumatized, but it makes you stronger every time. Every time you go to get in that car, you think like, okay, there's a good chance, I might not make it to this event, but fuck it, let's go. And you just hit the gas pedal.
Right. I talk to mine and go, come on. I kind of try to sweet talk it into getting me where I need to be. Like,
Yeah.
come on, we gotta make it today.
Oh yeah, yeah. Fuck. Oh man, I had so many conversations with my car. Like, people think I'm crazy, because I'm sitting there talking to the car. I'm like, man, you got no idea. The crazy thing is those cars do whatever the fuck they want to do when they want to do it. Like, they got their little moods, and like sometimes you can go out there in the car, the battery will be dead, and you'll be like, You're trying to start it. It's not starting. You're like, fuck. And then the battery goes dead. And you're like, oh man. And then you go, hey, I got to go charge the battery and see what's up with it. And you go, man, let me just try and start it one time, just see if it starts today without charging the battery or fucking with it, and it'll kick over. And you're like, God damn, man, this motherfucker. They just like to put you through it. They'll be like, you can look cool in us and be flossing and all that, but motherfucker, we're in control. You're not the boss here. I'm the boss. All right, all right. Just can you please get me where I got to go today? Not fuck me up. Not have me on the side of the road looking all weird.
Yeah. And they will, and they
Yeah.
have, and they will continue to do so for sure.
Hell yeah.
For sure, man. Well, let me ask you a
At
question.
least you look good sitting on the side of the road.
That's right. For 100%. And then people walk by and go, hey, nice car. And then people
Yeah.
driving by honking. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Thumbs up and shit. And you're like, what's so nice about the motherfucker don't work?
yeah. Or they'll go, hey, nice car.
Yeah.
Now is not the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've well documented, like, your vision and your experience with low riding around the world. Where do you see it heading in the future?
Well, I think right now it's the biggest it's ever been. Before the coronavirus, I think with no magazine and no, I think it's like all the events I've been going to are the biggest that they've ever been and the best they've ever been. Like I'm seeing some of the best shit in low riding now that I've ever seen. Like people are like, dialed everything in, you know, like to be the best it could be. And, of course, what I liked about the 90s is I was one of the only people documenting the shit. And you see that now. But, now you go and there's like, maybe 20 lowriders, but there'll be 100 people with their camera phones, taking pictures and filming and shit like that. And it's cool, but it's like, now I get behind everybody. Before I used to be the guy that was in the front and I was trying to get the car hopping like right in front of me. It was almost hitting me every time and shit like that. Or I would try and get close, but now I get like back away and I just try and capture like the culture, like one car hopping against another car and like 100 people with their iPhones up or their Samsungs or their Obama phones or whatever. And I just sit back and I trip out, because I have photos of just me and like one or two video guys, but they had the big video cameras on their shoulders.
Right.
And I have that era documented, and now I'm documenting this era where there's more cameras than cars out there. Because before it was definitely the other way around. There was hardly anybody shooting this shit. I remember like Dick DeLoach and Elliot Gilbert and one or two other guys that were shooting low riding, and they were the voice of low riding through their photography. And it was either like in a studio or at a low riding event, and yeah, that's it. They're either in the taking pictures of the cars parked with the stanchions around them laid at the car shows, or at the hopping event in the car show where it's all fenced off, or they had photos of them in the studio with a girl with a bikini and some high heel shoes on. But it was very rare that people were really out in the street photographing the scene. And now it's the opposite. There is no magazines, and everybody's just shooting for the gram. But it's cool, you get like, I follow different pages just because they're all lowrider pages.
Yeah.
Like I like that one crash lowriders, where you see everybody like cars catching on fire and fucking cars crash, because you never ever saw that in a publication at all. The first one I ever seen was the one that I put up my homie Jerry. He crashed a 64. His universal ball joint broke, and the car just went straight into a telephone pole. And we were coming back from a funeral. Our homie Chele, he had passed away in his car, and me and Cartoon and Jerry, we were both driving three deep down Melrose in Hollywood, and we were gonna go eat and go up to Hollywood Boulevard and just park our cars and kick it on Hollywood Boulevard. And his shit broke, and he crashed into the telephone pole. And you know, all you think of is cruising down the street in my 6'4", you know, the Easy wrapped the 6'4" around a telephone pole, and I'm just going like, fuck, man, that's crazy, you know, like that song's playing in my head, and I'm looking at a car right there, 64, crashing into the telephone pole. And I would send that photo in when people would say like, hey, can you send us like 10 of your favorite photos to put with your interview? I'd be, yeah, sure. And I'd send that, the LA Fingers, a couple other ones. And that was probably like one of the first times I'd seen a fucking, you know, nice ass lowrider all banged up. But now I just trip out on that page that just has only crashed lowriders, you know? Because you feel that shit like, you're like, damn, man, that poor motherfucker right there, that poor family, you know, like you just feel for them. It's kind of like when you see like those tsunamis hitting those villages and just wipes out the whole fucking village. Like that's how I feel when I see one of those lowriders just like burning in enclosed
The trailer.
car carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh no, the guy, poor guy, like. Does he need anything? Like, how can we help this guy, you know? I mean, everybody has insurance now, but back in the day, you had fucking like the equivalent to Geico, and you didn't, like, I've never had a license plate on any of my lowriders. Still to this day. My 64s never had a license plate on it. My 47s had the Felix plate on it the whole time. So, you know, we weren't driving with licenses back then. We weren't driving with insurance, and you know, shit goes wrong, you're asked out. It's over. It's like the coronavirus hits you. You're never coming back from that shit. You got no insurance, and you ain't gonna go spend another fucking 50 grand on a car after all that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like losing a family member.
It
A good
hurts.
one though.
It hurts to see, man, for sure. But Instagram is counting me down, Estevan. So I want to just thank you for spending the hour, man. I know that you're super busy, and I really appreciate the opportunity to chop it up with you a little bit.
Hell yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Hey, much love, much respect, and thank you for your artistry and just bringing us into your world and throughout the world. I think that you paving the way has given us as a culture access to what's happening around the world, and I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks to all the lowriders all around the world that let me do that shit. Because if they said no, fuck you, then there wouldn't be nothing, you know. So
Right on, man.
then people opening their arms and opening their doors to their houses, like much love to them.
For sure. Best to you and your family, man. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
All right, man.
All right.